My name is Bill Franke, and while I'm retired from the military, I retired with a rank of Lieutenant JG, and then a few years later I got notification I'd actually made lieutenant. I was in college during the first part of the Vietnam War, and of course I was caught up in all of the protests against the war and all the concerns about people being drafted, etc., which were sentiments that I didn't share. I felt that in a democracy that we had a responsibility when our leadership said that we were to go to war, that we honored that. So I got out of the, I graduated from college, and I decided that I would join the United States Navy. And I went down and met with a recruiter and made a decision to join the Navy. And then I was I was first ordered to Officer Candidate School in Newport, Rhode Island. And I was what was called a Golf 6807, which I was in Golf Company. And I was a class in 1968, the 7th month, so Golf 6807. And that's when I received my commission as an ensign. While at Officer Candidate School, a call went out. They had been losing quite a few junior officers in Vietnam on swift boats, and the fleet was being depleted of junior officers. So they made a decision that they were to ship some ensigns over, and I was one of the first ensigns that was, in fact, I was in the first class of ensigns that was ordered to go to Vietnam. I volunteered for the posting, and I was sent to San Diego. Upon my issuance of my commission, I was sent to San Diego, and I had a little bit of a stay out there because they were still figuring out all the courses and everything they wanted these rookies to be taking. But ultimately, I ended up finishing up in swift boat school, and I was sent to, I shipped over to Vietnam, and I arrived in Tet, or February of 1969, and I was in Vietnam for 1 year. During that time, I was an officer in charge of a PCF, or a swift boat. Initially it was swift boat 56, and then it was swift boat 93. I spent the first about month of my mission while I was there in Cat Low with Coastal Division 13. And then again, because there was quite a bit of loss of officers out of Coastal Division 11, I was ordered, my crew and I were ordered to transfer down to Coastal Division 11, which was stationed on Phu Quoc Island off the west coast of Vietnam. I spent the balance of my tour there. My mission in Cat Low was entirely different than that in Phu Quoc or Coast Div 11. In Cat Low, it was the Mekong Delta, and it was primarily in an area that was controlled by the South Vietnamese government. And so our mission there was more to prevent the use of the rivers for the transportation of war supplies and troops by the bad guys. In Vietnam, unless you're familiar with it, you don't realize that everything has to go by water because they have no railroads and there were very few roads. So everything had to go by water, including the tonnage necessary to maintain a war footing as was being maintained. So our job in Coastal Division 13 was to stop the use of the waterways by the enemy for the furtherance of their military objectives. Conversely, in An-Toi, my job was entirely different. In An-Toi, I don't know the exact numbers, but we were told there were approximately 60,000 North Vietnamese regulars in 4 Corps, which is the Cam Ranh Peninsula. And we were a division of 20 boats, so 20 times 6 people or 7 people per crew. So we had about 140 people, combatants and support crew, and with the exception of a few Army units, we were primarily it. And our mission down there was simply to disrupt their ability to use 4-core as a replenishment location for them. It was sort of like we were asked to keep taking pokes at the hornet's nest to keep them occupied so they couldn't do whatever there was they wanted to do. Started a different mission. In Cat Low, I'd go out for missions, 3 to 5 days at a time. In Antoy, we'd go out every day. We'd start at 3 o'clock in the morning and go out for a strategic objective, and we'd hit it, poke the hornet's nest, get them really mad at us, and then we'd get the hell out of there before they bring 10,000 or 60,000 people down on top of us to annihilate us. So that was the difference.